and welcome to the 4Corners podcast. I'm Brad, joined as always by Matt and Shad. Gentlemen, how are you doing this evening?
Oh, I'm doing okay.
I'm trying to stay cool. We're in like a heat wave where it's been 90. It was 90 yesterday, 90 something yesterday, 90 something today. It's gonna be 90 in the 90s tomorrow. Drop 30 to. I think it's gonna drop like 40 degrees on Friday.
It's maddening.
Welcome.
I'm not. I'm done. I'm done with the wildly huge fluctuations. Like I don't.
That's why
I want it to. I want it to either. I don't want it to be like winter anymore, but I want it to be like spring. I don't want it to be like now it's like the dead of summer, 90 degrees, and then it's like just cooling. It's actually, the fall.
I hate to break it to you. I hate to break it to you, but that's what the Midwest is like all the time.
I don't like it.
I just want it to even out. Please just even out. Please just even out. I'm in too much pain.
So before we start, I'm coming off a cold, which I said I was getting last week. So if I cough, please forgive me. I'll try to hit the button. But sometimes when you're about to do things, it's hard to hit the little ass button because OBS decided to change the way the sound setup looks and made everything smaller and hard to navigate because reasons. But enough of that. So what we're going to be doing this week, we're going to do our match of the week first, and then we're going to be talking about Beyond the Mat. I had been planning to do a proper movie review of this and maybe have a couple of guest spots on, but the director Barry Blaustein died last Thursday, I think. Tuesday. Yep. So
recent.
I really wanted to talk about it because it's a very important, I think it's a little forgotten now, especially with newer fans, but I would say for its time, it was a very, super important, piece of wrestling media, and I think it still is, and it really captures its time, and there are, some very important characters in that it follows.
People nowadays, unless you remember it or been a wrestling fan long enough, which there's a lot of people who aren't. It came out the late 90s?
99.
Early aughts? Oh, 99, okay.
Yeah, it's been a long time. People who, and there's tons of people who they just started watching in the last 15, 20 years because they're not that old.
Yeah.
So they, or maybe even 10 years, they don't know, but it's people don't know how big it was, at least in the wrestling, in the internet wrestling community, and in the wrestling world. It was huge. It was
yeah.
And it was a very well received documentary, and I think it got some mainstream attention. A little bit, not it's not as if Terry Funk and Mick Foley, some of these other people became household names because of the documentary.
I think it was the first. It was the first, because kayfabe was still kind of a thing. It was the first thing that kind of, I think, really broke that barrier in a respectful way on kind of wrestling's terms, because people remember, and Chris Delner was actually just making jokes about it, but people remember Secrets of the Mat that I think ABC did with NBC did with
I remember that
stunt
one.
granny and
the stunt granny narrated by the smarmy cat from Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
And the fake wrestlers, because I always remember Skullduggery, which I still think is a cool wrestling name. And then there were, I don't remember who all was in it. I know Harley Race was one. Who was some of the other ones? I don't remember who the other ones were. I think a Samoan was in it.
Now you said that, I'm gonna look because I know.
We just either talked about it or someone else talked about it. Literally, it just
we talked about it a little bit.
And then the DVD
not
is
a lot.
Extra good because the DVD, you had an extra commentary track from the director, but then Mick Foley did one, and I don't remember if Terry Funk did one, but they at least had a Mick Foley one. I think Terry Funk did a commentary track over the movie too.
So I just looked up it is exposed pro wrestling's greatest secrets. One of the people who was in it was Mike Modest, and he said that basically the guys who were working in the show were lied to about what it was supposed to be about, and then after the contracts were done, they're like, "Oh, we're doing this," and they're all like, "What?"
Yeah,
And he said he claims that the masks and stuff were added because the guys are like, "No, I'm not. No, I'm not going out there with my real face if we're doing this shit."
I think the masks were better, like artistically though, because like this is not to shit on Mike Modest because I've actually enjoyed some of his work, a lot of his work actually, but like it would be less memorable if it's like, oh, this indie guy that's like 5'8" and just looks like Bill
Yeah.
from accounting.
This dude you never heard of.
Yeah, versus like the Lion or something. You know, it was better artistically.
Yeah.
And actually,
Now
some of
I'm
those
curious.
guys,
I'm looking for the names.
some of those guys, I feel like should monetize that, like for the meme of it now.
Oh, Ben Hurt was one of the guys. I don't know how I feel about that name. Was apparently Adam Pearce, and Slither was supposedly Christopher Daniels.
That makes sense. So the crew
I mean,
of guys,
if you're going to go around and grab the, if you're going to go around and grab indie guys to be in it, then get some good ones. But whatever.
and then like then like I would also say Beyond the Mat is also very famous for Dennis Stamp. And I'm not booked on
I'm not
the
booked,
show.
Terry.
Yeah, we
I'm
can't
not
talk
booked.
about Dennis Stamp. He's not booked on this.
Maybe I should see. You know what I should do for next week since that did come up? I do know that Terry Funk and Bret Hart match is on YouTube. I'll put that on the. I'll put that in the. I'll put that in the queue for next week.
Spoilers, Brad. We know how it ends.
Oh yes, but then like I think the Mick Foley commentary is very interesting because they part of what it is. I think it's pretty infamous is they go to the Royal Rumble where he takes all those headshots, which. Spoiler if you don't know what happened, it was a massive miscommunication between the two of them, but Mick Foley had some not, I think, pleasant opinions of The Rock afterwards.
So I did read about this one because it was in his second book, In Foley is Good. He hung on to this resentment because he was like, The Rock never came and checked on me afterward. And he was mad about that. So he hung on to that resentment and he was trying to build, because he felt like he needed that resentment in order to be able to build a good promo for it. And then Barry Blaustein's like, "Oh, okay, do you want to see the early clip?" And The Rock came in and checked on him afterward and apologized to him. And that all just melted away. And he's like, "Oh, well, there goes that idea."
Well, he was like, The Rock was kind of being roundabout about it because he was just kind of talking to him, but it's also like, yeah, he's just small talking you, but he's also making sure you're.
He's checking on you, yeah.
Yeah.
But like, no, that was a massive miscommunication because what happened is he was handcuffed behind his back, and they were going to do the chair shots, and I think they were only supposed to do a couple. They were supposed to do like 3 or 4, I think. And then what Foley and The Rock didn't realize is by handcuffing his hands, it changed like how his body was absorbing the impact. And then Foley was being a dumbass and he kept getting back up, which meant The Rock kept hitting him.
It was, if I remember, there was supposed to be a signal where when Foley turned his back to him, The Rock was supposed to hit him across the back and he'd fall on his face.
Yeah.
But he got his bell rung so bad that he forgot to do it.
When he got mad too. He said in the book he got mad and he got right back up. He's like, "Oh yeah, that was dumb of me."
Yeah. So I don't know where that book is right. Oh, well.
And I don't know if it's on Blu-ray. I don't know how easy it is to find anymore. You'll hear a lot of wrestlers of that era, like Colt Cabana talks about it a lot. A lot of those guys of that era and our age. Oh, that's cool. And the other infamous figure I think from this is Roland Alexander, who was on. He actually did one of Colt's podcast episodes. And I don't particularly like him as a person because he was trying to claim on that, like, oh, we like worked him and stuff for like the APW part, which I thought was hilarious because it's like you say that, but you obviously are trying to hope people didn't listen, or you didn't listen to the
He
commentary
didn't
from
listen to
Barry
the.
Blaustein, because he talks about the Roland Alexander stuff. He's like, yeah, I almost cut this part of him crying from the movie because when I test screened it, people would laugh at him because they found him inauthentic. And I just find it funny that Roland was saying, he like, oh, we worked him and he was buying into it, and he's just like in the commentary, like, yeah, like I didn't like him. I thought he's a bullshitter.
That's pretty good. The other big character that came out. Well, okay, the other big character that was in this was Jake.
Oh,
Jake Roberts
Yeah.
was a huge thing, and
I felt bad for. I still to this day
It
feel bad
was-
for his daughter.
it was uncomfortable. Like, I understand what he's going for. He's trying to show the effects of what this life on the road does to you and your family, and Jake is obviously a very extreme example of it. But God, that was hard to watch. Now, to to be fair to this movie, um, we didn't know it at the time, but the majority of the central characters in it do end up with happy endings. Mick Foley's doing well. Jake the Snake recovered, kicked his addiction, remarried his ex-wife. He's doing really well, and New Jack's not stabbing people anymore. So, there's wins all over the place.
Well, we don't really know that. I just know, like, they had to do like the Klingon ceremony to let the afterlife know that New Jack was coming. If you don't know,
I gotta mute.
if you've ever watched Star Trek, what happens when a Klingon dies? Klingons scream because they're letting the afterlife know a Klingon's coming. So that's kind of like the New Jack thing. But New Jack was always fun in shoots, and New Jack was very honest. New Jack was
In
very
shoots,
honest.
yes.
New Jack was very honest about himself and what his problems were. And like by the end, because there was a stabbing later on, I'm just like, I don't know, like getting mad that New Jack stabbed you is like being mad that a tiger mauled you.
So
It's like, what did you really expect?
yeah. My wife watched. There was a stretch where my wife and I would watch Dark Side of the Ring episodes together, but I would let her pick. I'm just like, whichever one you want. She goes, "What about Owen?" And I'm like, "I can't do that." There were a few where I was just like, "Nah, I can't do that."
They're really bottom of the barrel this year. Though.
Well, like Owen and Benoit, I was like, I can't do that.
Though the Benoit
one-
thing, there's the last podcast on the left did an episode, and they said he actually Googled fleeing to Mexico before he killed himself, which I don't think it's brought up a lot.
I know that they had some information I had not heard before, but they also had some bad information in it.
Yeah.
And it's like, the amount of research that they're doing, and they're digging in places they're not usually looking. I'm not going to come down on them for it. They did a good job. They just got some stuff
You know what the
wrong.
You know what the worst Benoit story is? This is younger Benoit, because it really shows.
I was going to say, take your pick.
Well, it really shows what like a downfall of a human being he became, because you remember, so when he broke Sabu's neck,
Yeah.
they found him crying in a closet afterwards because he thought he killed him. And I was like, oh, that's brutal considering what you ended up doing later in your life.
Yeah.
Don't watch
it's
that.
hard.
That's a terrible spot. It's up there with Sid.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen
I've
it.
seen it. It's
Yeah, because they used to put it on all the fucking DVDs like a bunch of assholes.
I know.
This has gotten passed around. Who originally did the tweet? Maybe it was like Snowboy on Twitter, but someone did the tweet where it was one of those things like you hear it said or someone writes it, and once it gets in your brain, it's like you can only it's become like almost like a trope or very contrite when it's like I can only like someone said this and that's all I can see now. It's like, but it's one of those things when it was said and it's like, well, you know what? Now like that's in my brain and it does happen for me every time. Someone did a tweet where they're like every Benoit match has at least one spot where you'll stop and go, did it. That started the concussions,
You
the
know,
CTE.
Oh yeah,
before,
yeah.
but
And it's true.
before
Not that
you
I'm like out
ever,
there watching. Well, not that I'm not out there watching like a ton of Benoit matches, but sometimes it happens. You see a clip, and there is. I swear to God, there's some like at some point in one of those matches, it could be like a jobber match that's like 3 minutes long, where he's beating up a jobber, and at some point he'll do some spot like a diving headbutt or something,
Yeah.
where it's like it's head trauma, and it's like that's what did it. It's
you
like,
know,
well, maybe
way before
Matt,
that's what
I'm
did it
agreeing with you.
times like 500.
I'm agreeing with you. The one that really put me off of rewatching any of his stuff, because it was something like we reviewed Spring Stampede 99, I think it was.
I
Was
wasn't
it
even thinking
98
of
or
that.
99?
I was thinking about Great American Bash '96 when he was doing when he was doing the bathroom brawl with Kevin Sullivan and he slammed his head
Oh
in the
yeah,
door and we were all like,
in the bathroom
"Ugh."
store.
Yeah.
But Spring Stampede 98 or 99, which was Raven and Saturn versus Benoit Malenko, and he did that unprotected diving headbutt on
Oh,
the
fuck
chair
yeah.
on Raven, and I saw that and I was just like,
You know,
that was the point where I was like, nope, I'm out, I'm done,
you know,
because I was
he
doing
does that.
okay up to that point, like separate the art and the artist kind of thing until that moment, and he gets up and like he's bleeding here, and he, as I remember, I didn't see him really have an opportunity to gig, and I'm just like, oh, that was hard way. Oh, he didn't. Nope, done.
I've seen a bunch of people do diving headbutts now, and he by far is the dumbest person to do it. But I have the same issue with Dynamite now. We did that showcase on him, and we were doing a match, and he did something, and I said on the show, I was just like, I see why this guy's paralyzed because he just did not care about his body whatsoever. But yeah,
What? Who? Who is it that we recently saw that I'm like, oh, they do like the diving headbutt, like the smart way? Someone
Danielson.
like
Danielson.
Because when he would land, he would tuck his arms right here,
yeah,
and he
who?
wasn't hitting his head. Danielson.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, Danielson. Like he would do it, and it's like there's again, there are things that you have to be almost like a longtime wrestling fan, and you start. I think we're on like a different level of fandom, which sounds very arrogant to
Well,
say, but
I would say Shad's changed a lot of how I watch things because like I don't even think when this show started you'd hear me talking about spacing and like positioning and footwork and things like that, and those are all things Shad has taught me to pay attention to over the years.
yeah. But we are like at a different level of fandom in the sense that we've seen so much of it now that it's like sometimes we actually just look to see how it's being done, like how are they doing the spots, and that doesn't necessarily. I can understand if you get too, there are people or there are ways you can watch it where you can just get too analytical about it. I don't think it really like bothers me in the sense like it doesn't ruin my enjoyment of wrestling. Sometimes it even enhances it. But yeah, it was Danielson.
Yeah, but the
It's
thing
like he
is, I
does the
don't.
move, and it's like I was watching how he did the move, and I'd subtly see like he put his hands up. So it's like the impact is never actually on his head, which I say it ironically because I mean the man had his career for an indeterminate amount of time. Well, he had to suffer for like a few years because he had major
Yeah,
like
he
brain
did a lot of
issues
other
because,
dumb shit that caused that.
well,
Though.
that's true, but I mean he did like put it up so all the impact was like not actually in his head. There are other things he did that caused trauma.
I was gonna say I don't. When I watch like recreationally, not on the show, I don't break every minutia down like I do for the show. I watch completely differently for different like
I
aspects.
can't. Well, I can turn it down a little bit, but I can't turn it off.
Mhm.
I just can't because
There's
like
other things that get exposed to me now though. Like I would say like in older matches, especially like blown spots and how they're handled, because now like especially in like WWE, but you see it in AEW sometimes, like guys will just fall apart on a blown spot and won't know what to do, and then we'll watch something like an old Nitro, and I'm using this as a specific example because it's a great. Well, I'll use two examples, but there was a Barbarian in Wrath match from Nitro, so you're thinking, okay, those aren't two great workers. And what happened is Barbarian was going to whip Wrath into the ring post, and Wrath fell. He slipped and fell, so he blew the spot. So Barbarian just picked him up, rammed him into the ring apron, and threw him into the ring.
Yeah.
And then the Sting and Mike Rotunda match, they screwed something up, and then they just like did a different spot that Sting ducked, and they were right back to where they should have been. So just like how they handle blown spots is a lot better.
When you have blown spots, or even like maybe an injury spot or fear of an injury spot, like I've seen matches where you can tell who's like the vet, who has like a lot of like in-ring experience. Because I've seen guys like they've blown a spot, or there's concern that they're injured because they've had like their bell rung maybe, and maybe long run they're like okay, they can continue the match, but they need like a moment. I've seen like matches, especially like it's a multi-person match, tag team match, 6-man, whatever, where I've seen it when like you have vets who step in and they just like immediately to distract away from what's happening, they'll immediately interject themselves into the match, like get in the ring, whatever, and just start doing spots and everything. And so now everyone's focused on that. While the other person, like I've seen matches like that. Like I can't give you like a specific one, like this match should happen. Like, but I've even seen it live where, a guy will have to take a powder to the outside, not because like that's the planned spot, because like that guy's like, he needs a moment. Like something happened. Like he botched it, or he something got tweaked and he needs like a minute. And I've seen guys like they just come in and start doing stuff when it's clear they weren't supposed to do it, but they're doing it because the show must go on. But they're they're actually helping the person, and they're actually saving the match at the same time. And actually, again, being a long-term fan, like I know when that sort of thing is happening. I can perceive it at least, and I appreciate that. Like that's one of those little things that's like, oh wow, like this is what's happening, and that's
cool. I saw. It was a Ring of Honor show. This is years ago now, over a decade ago. It was Adam Cole versus some local guy, like on the pre-show. First spotted the ropes break, and so they had to do an 8-minute match with the top rope screwed up. Because I know Shad's probably heard it before, but he went into like the ropes. You just heard that creak, and it was like, oh, they just broke, and then they had to come out and retighten.
I've seen it happen twice, and it was a ping, and it's just like, oh shit.
Yeah. You know what actually made me respect Sid more as a worker is that UWF show where he and Dr. Death broke part of the ring like early in the match, and they had to work around a fourth of the ring being busted.
Yeah.
But
I had to do that once because the ring I most commonly worked in was the 2x4s, right? And we'd lay the 2x4s down, and they put ratchet straps around them. Basically, it just keeps everything together. Well, something happened, and one of the boards popped up here on top of the other one. And it's like, well, we can't get to that without taking the whole thing apart. It's like, well, I guess we're working around that. And it was like a third of the way in. So it's just like the whole match is either working parallel to it or over on this side. And I had one guy shoot me off that way, and I just stopped and turned around and punched him. And he was like, what are you doing? I'm like, don't throw me that way. I ain't going.
That's an aggravation. But I think where Beyond the Mat worked is that Barry Blaustein guy, I don't know if he was like a current fan, but he was a fan when he was a kid, and he had a fascination like with wrestling. So I think that's kind of the way he approached it. Has Jake ever talked about it much? I don't think Jake had good feelings about it, but I don't remember.
I don't remember. You said it earlier, the real key to it is that Blaustein approached this subject matter and presented it with respect. It was not like a, look at it, that everybody wants to expose or something. He's like, no, no, no. This is not easy. This is hard. These guys deserve some respect. And showing people that everyone really liked.
And there's Jim Ross telling, I don't remember his name, that guy that worked with Mike Modest on the Dark Show, telling the guy to get on the gas. That they
You,
were
you
interested
need to be
in.
a little bit bigger.
Yeah. Well, the guy, I mean, in fairness, the guy's upper body was kind of not great for.
He said, you need to kind of build out your upper body a bit.
Yeah.
I don't remember him saying like, go get you some gear for it or something, but
It was implied, but I think that was like you need to bulk up a bit.
yeah.
That, as an aside, like that actually is a thing that I personally have always actually, since back that time, had a real big issue with Jim Ross. And Jim Ross like skates under the radar and has for like years and years and years. It's like, I mean, this was during the period of time, like in the 90s and even like into the early aughts, where guys were dropping left and right, just left and right. There's so many, and I understand a lot of it was also like prescription drug issues.
I've heard.
Or,
well, there's a theory I tend to think has some shit, I can't talk tonight. Has, I think, some legitimacy for me. Is I think why that era died so young is like the travel schedule, because like they would have them doing illogical things in WWE, like going from coast to coast and like jerking guys around a lot, so they were up on a lot of uppers and downers. Because I think that more than the steroids is what killed a lot of these guys. Is like
I mean, it was less of like this person dropped dead of like heart disease, which is like you can more accurately or usually contribute to like steroid abuse. But there was a lot of steroids and stuff going on at that day. The people had less. Nowadays they have,
they
say, is more
understand.
like natural.
Well, no,
bodies.
they understand. So why you can do steroids now? It's not great for you, but why they're not dropping dead now is they understand like the concept of cycling. So you're not like juicing yourselves to the gills. You're
You weren't the warlord, brother. I think you're full.
well, and like, and medical treatment's just better now than it was 20 years ago, because like Triple H would probably have died in like 2000 with his quadruple bypass that he needed because he was a steroid abuser.
If that had happened while he was on that travel schedule, then he wouldn't have slowed down at any point, and there would have been a news story about dead in the hotel room. The other thing that, like you said, it's all of that stuff, and then just the easy prevalence of somas, because you would have guys talking about just how many somas people would be on, to the point where like Nash had stories about it, and like they had a bottle of 100, and Nash took 33, and Michaels took 33, and Hall took 34, and that was like the point of pride, as he did one more. And it's just like, and I know this is from, I think it was the Jim Cornette roast, Eugene Dinsmore's joke about Missy Hyatt is she's gone down on so many wrestlers she spits somas. It's like that's a little bit of a rough joke, but it also is incredibly indicative of how common that stuff was. That's what killed Louis Spicolli and Bobby Duncombe Jr. was straight up, it was somas.
And I also think though, having downsides has saved a lot of lives. Like, I think on the WWE side of things, because now guys don't have that pressure to come back or work injured as much. I also think, because I think what people don't understand, so if you're talking about in the medical sense, like modern medical science really did not start until like 1991. So I think surgery is becoming so much less invasive since like 2000 is also helping guys not cop addictions, and then they come back quicker, so the pressure's not there to work. Because now it's like, okay, well, I fucked my knee up, oh well, I could be back in 2 months, that's not a big deal, versus like back in the 80s where it's like, well shit, like this is like 10 months of
not working.
Yeah.
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 Let me put a brace on here and just try and power through. It's
Yeah,
like,
because now it's like, oh, this is a little fucked up, but like, especially if you're in AEW, it's like, well, we're gonna send you some NFL doctors. They'll have you back up and walking and probably in the ring within like 6 weeks, where that probably was like a 4 or 5 month injury back in the day.
right.
Yeah.
Well, WCW was good about it because if you worked for them, you're getting paid for all that injury time. And so there'd be guys who would milk an injury and come back, looking fantastic because they took all that extra time
Yeah,
to they probably could have come back earlier, but by tacking an extra month or two on, they're like, no, man, I'm gonna do this, and they come back, in the best shape of their lives.
and I think things like Paul Orndorff's arm probably would not happen now.
That's bad, yeah.
Because even
It,
like, because even like the Bo Jackson injury, like people have come back from that. Not even like recently, but like they've done it since he had that happen. So
Yeah.
it just shows how far like medical science has come.
yeah. I was gonna make a Nash joke, Brad. Says the boys need their candy.
Yeah,
With either candy.
Did you see, by the way, did you see where he basically like
yeah, I saw.
kissing ass for TKO? It's like, hey, yeah, like, so I know one of the guys who took a 50% pay cut. He showed me what he's making now after the cut, and it's still a lot of money. And it's like, it should be like double that. Don't be like, well, they're still making a lot of money. What you're whitewashing, like what the TKO is doing. Which, by the way, there are people out there who know who at least one of the people who took a pay cut, and they won't. No one will say it. No one will say it. But I stand with the people who argue like this publicly should be known because you are messing with people's money.
Yeah,
Like agreeing to a pay. The New Day didn't. The New Day stood on business. It's like,
and
you
this
want to take
isn't
a pay
like
cut? Fuck you.
this
Give
isn't
us
It's
our
like,
like
lead.
we signed a contract for this.
and I can
You're not
understand.
just, yeah.
I can understand. We talked about it in like versus like a real world contract and why it's not the same necessarily. It's not like I use the UFC since they're under the same umbrella where it's kind of like a guy comes in, he's 42 and you want to cut his pay and it's like, but like that's a 50% pay cut. And it's like, yeah, you've lost 5 of your last 7 fights and you're going to be a prelim fighter. So yeah, like we're not offering you as much because you're washed. It's different though. Or in the NFL where it's like, yeah, you threw 25 picks last year and your stats have been going, your metrics have been going down every year. So we'll give you like a short-term deal to prove that you don't suck anymore, but like it makes more sense in the context of like real sports because of performance.
Okay, but
That's not what's going on here. You don't just
that's
come
not
in and
what's
be
happening.
like, yeah.
Yeah. And wrestling's fake. So
Well, I can
I
understand.
just,
I can understand. I can understand being like, well, you're 48. Like, I don't necessarily have a lot for you to do, but you've been with us for a long time. Um, So what would you say if we kind of like put you down less and we're not going to use you a ton, but this is just like a thank you tour? Like I understand stuff like that, but that's not what they're doing.
but I would be less upset about that if it's a guy. It's like the contract is ending, and so they're like, look, you want a new contract. We're not going to probably use you as much. You're older, like, so we'll give you a new contract, but it's 50% less.
Yeah.
If
Or
it's a
like
new contract, that's a different
It's
story.
different. Yeah,
Is
that's
it?
yeah.
very
Yeah.
different.
But
Or
if you're like like the New Day, like they literally just signed a deal.
yeah.
Last
A
year.
new deal. Yeah. A new deal. And they're like, you guys making a lot of money. And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, like they make a lot of money in merchandise, at least they used to back when you had them on TV. They actually you
But
did
they
some
had good
stuff with
merch.
them. Yeah. Like so like restructuring things like it's bullshit, and I think that people who did that like should be named and shamed. Like again, if it's a new deal, it's like because he obviously didn't sign a new deal, and who knows what really happened. But Killer Cross, like his contract ended, and it's like if they was like, hey, Killer Cross, like you didn't really pan out like we wanted you to, but
Yeah, I think
we'll sign you to a contract, but you got to take 50% less.
the
I mean,
problem
you're
the
getting
problem I
older.
think with
Probably only going
Cross
to use you as
was
mid card.
I think the problem with Cross though was and why he rightfully didn't resign is they weren't going to resign Scarlett. So instead of, and he
Yeah,
was going to take a pay
I think
cut.
that's the case too.
So it was like, well, you're taking like 75% of my income, not 50% because you're I'm saying in renegotiations, I understand like your value does change. And I think negotiating accordingly, but they're taking existing deals and trying to like,
Yes.
because,
Yeah.
because I think what they want, I'm pretty sure is they want they want like to pay 5 or 6 people and then everyone else be interchangeable people they can just throw peanuts at, which like I said,
Yeah.
um like it works in other sports because like you can like in football like that they kind of secretly the players union kind of fucked veterans over because that's what a lot of NFL teams do now is they get rid of veterans to get cheaper rookies. But that's different though because you can say, okay, well we have this veteran that's going to cost us $10 million and this is what his production is. We can sign a $2 million rookie and get like 10% less production. Like you do stuff like that. Or in baseball, there's a whole statistic around that, which is wins above replacement, which is if you don't know what wins above replacement is, it is a metric that measures if you're replaced by a bog standard blank slate average player, how much value you're adding.
The thing is that also, um, what you do is you remove a veteran presence, somebody who knows how to handle tough situations and help keep the team together and that sort of thing. But the hell of it is that in wrestling, that's an even bigger deal. Because oh, we got our top 6 guys. You know, it's like the SmackDown 6, except it's for everything. It's like, do you not understand what the problem is here? Because if any of those guys get hurt, or if any of those guys get something like an outside opportunity that they're going to pursue, now what you've done is you've told everybody that if it's not this handful of people, they don't matter. And how do you get people over the hump into that group you get people to care about?
Well, wrestling is much more personality driven. Like I would say like boxing and MMA are similar, but those have like a natural ecosystem to build new stars. Like guys still have to have the star quality and the ability, but like, you know, when the old legends are aging out, then some young guy's going to come and, nuke them and
Yeah.
build his name off of that. But wrestling, well, one, they don't book like that. But secondly, like you still need ability, aptitude, star power, and promo ability. Because like I said, one of the biggest stars in UFC doesn't even speak English.
Right. You can't, yeah, with wrestling, you can't just do that. You can't.
You could. I
What's
I think Alex Pereira could work in WWE, but they are too stubborn to have a wrestler that can't speak English. But I think you could make it work.
Well, no, what I was going to say is, yeah, like you said, in competitive sports, you're going to have wins and losses and that sort of stuff you can tally up. Wrestling requires intangibles and people who understand that connection. And let's just off the top of my head, I'm going to reach and I'm just going to reach and grab a name. Okay, here. This is one that you've used before, Brad. Not having Chris Jericho on the WWE roster has incredibly harmed Royal Rumble performances
Mm-hmm.
because there's not someone out there who understands and has the experience to be able to direct traffic appropriately and keep things from falling apart.
And it's never
Um,
recovered from not having him on the. I bet you if
or
he
having
showed up,
someone like him.
I bet you if he showed up at the
And
next Royal Rumble, it'd be the best Rumble in years.
well, unless they were like, oh, pitch him out now. It's like, um,
Which, as an aside, to cut either of you off for the point you're going to make, but I guess in retrospect, like, wow, Jericho made the right decision
Oh
resigning
yeah.
with AEW, right? Clearly, because he would be, retired by Gunther, or just in general, like enjoying that 50%
Well,
pay
they just
cut
had
right now. So.
Gunther beat Hobbs, so he got built up for like a month and then he's lost already. So they did nothing with him.
Hang on. This is my shocked face.
I know. You're very shocked.
Hang on. Wait. Is that my? Yeah, I called it. It was my phone. Um, Look, if that's what Hobbs wanted to do, Hobbs did it right. You know, he did business on the way out, and more power to him.
I don't blame Hobbs for
Fine.
what he did
No,
because
but
he doesn't have like because he's not as young as people thought he was. He's more like 41 or whatever. So
mhm.
I think I think his biggest mistake is I think Vince would have done a lot with him.
Well,
I think that
he would have
I have
definitely
a
been
snide
let's not make this snide. I'm talking about Vince would have. He is a kind of guy Vince can get behind. He's big, he's powerful. Vince doesn't care about his melanin levels like a certain Booker now does. So I think he would have been a Vince guy, which I think he would have gotten a big push with Vince because you know
Vince was
who
still,
because you know who Vince always loved. And you could tell because I mean the Saba Simba thing was dumb, but like Tony Atlas was like his guy back in the 80s. Like he loved Tony Atlas.
look, like, I think the vision is a dumb stable, but if Vince was still running things, like Vince would probably like pair a guy like Hobbs up with like Paul Heyman, and he'd be getting like a good push, like a solid push, and like Vince would more understand. It's just not, which is not trying to like extol the virtues of Vince, but Vince knew like certain guys, certain types of guys. Vince really knew what to do with them generally, and that doesn't mean like, oh, they're like going to be one of the best WWE workers of all time. It's like, no, but I mean he would have had a good spot and would have been probably better used.
So wait, I've got a perfect example for this.
I saw Hulk Hogan's WWE debut, like his heel run, like the very first match he did on TV, and Vince was commentating, and you could tell by the Vince reaction, like I don't know if he had things planned out, but you could just hear the cogs turning of like, oh, I could make so much money with this guy. Like the second he saw him.
So I have a perfect example as an analog for Hobbs. Vince would have pushed him. He probably would have done it wrong and screwed it up like he did for 2 years with Big E, but he would have pushed him. He would have done something with him. And trust me, I'm not thrilled with giving him that much credit because I don't want to give Vince that much credit, you know? But he's done it before, and he would have, and Bobby Lashley, you know, he would have done stuff with them as opposed to.
The problem is Triple H is so incompetent at booking and he's so overtly racist that it really makes you have to really analyze Vince as a booker and be like, oh, it really accentuates his strengths because he actually had strengths. He knew how to make something entertaining. He didn't care about.
So here's something that gets me is if you're going to if now that we're in a two major promotion ecosystem in the United States again, we are going to be in a place where you're going to want to draw people from the other company.
Mm-hmm.
You've got two people that you've pulled in from the other company who one of them you'd already had success with before. The other one had already proved it could be a success. Everybody else that you've pulled in, can you give me an example of of someone who works in AEW looking at how you treated that person and gone, yeah, I feel confident that I feel good about getting that kind of treatment.
Sean Spears. But yeah,
Spears,
I don't think but the problem with the Spears thing is I think he wanted to be a trainer and they put him on TV some. But I think the problem is like the Motor City Machine Guns. I think that's what they wanted after their run, and then they got released. So I think I could see an older vet seeing that and liking it. I think Ethan Page has kind of been okay. Um,
okay, so if outside of Cody and Punk,
yeah,
which, like I said, those were established, those had established themselves as names. The bar you're shooting for is Ethan Page, who had a 3-year run on NXT and then was brought up to the main roster to some fanfare. Like, and also, just to head it off, Danhausen is an outlier. Again, already an established product, already a proven commodity. Because if you could do that, if you could get that kind of over on the indies on what you were doing, you were going to manage to pull it off everywhere. Even if I'm
well,
aggravated with his behavior,
I think the
but they're
problem
going to
with
run him into the ground and kill it.
yeah, I kind of I want to know what that looks like in 6 months, and I don't know. I would be curious how much of this input is coming from him because I have seen some of it and I thought the early stuff like they really missed the mark on him early, but they've done some good segments with him and they seem to have caught like a stride with it, but they are way overexposing him. Like there's some
Yeah.
episodes
They're
where
over.
he's on way too much, but I will
He's on
say
way too much.
I don't know if like someone finally gave him they must have given him create some creative license after a while because it sucked, and then they like it got better, and then it was like okay, this feels like Danhausen stuff. So I wonder if like he started like getting some control because like they did catch his voice, and I think it's working, but they're way overexposing it.
Yeah.
They're overexposing him. About Ethan Page, like he's one of those situations where you want to applaud a guy because like, oh, you should bet on yourself. And he bet on himself. The problem is you're Ethan Page. Like you think that you're like, I should main event Mania. Like I'm that level of guy, and it's like you aren't.
But
Though.
you're not.
Like I know Brad is more high on him than I. It's like yeah, but
Yeah, but I've said he's a
mid-carder.
mid carder.
He's a mid carder. He's a mid carder at best, and
I've
I
said
would
he's
say
a
like
mid
if this was
carder, and that's not a. The problem is people shit on him because he's a mid carder, and they act like that's a bad thing. It's like no, he's a mid carder. Like
No.
I shit on him because he's a mid carder who thinks he should be a main event player, and it's like, and
yeah,
that
but
plays
here's
into
the
why he like left AEW,
but you
and it's
don't
like
want to. You end up
you're not a good enough worker compared
but
to the
you
guys
end
in
up
AEW.
you end up like Brian Pillman Jr. if you don't have that kind of ego to you though, because like yes, he is a mid carder and he doesn't have that level of talent, but like when you think you should be that, it does put it does make you. I would say he's probably, especially in like TNA, he has exceeded his talents and he's done things like if you go look at Ethan Page like 10 years ago, like improving his body, he's improved his work a lot. Like, so he has had the drive to improve. I think Karate Man was legitimately funny. I don't know why WWE doesn't do that with him, um, but like if you don't have that drive, you get complacent and you end up like those guys that like it's 5 years later and they're doing the same shit. Or it's like Brian
Well, I
Pillman
think
Jr., who's like, it's been a decade, and he's just like, I'm Brian Pillman's son. Push me.
that
So
yeah, but that's all he's going to have. Like he's not that good of a worker anyway. Regarding Ethan Page, just in general, I don't personally like him. I think he's and I've said before, which is true. Like
I think
there are
the
a lot of
problem
people.
is
Oh,
you.
so and so got fumbled. It's like did they? Like some people, that's their role in life is in wrestling. It's like you're a utility worker, you're a mid card guy, and that's all you should be. And that's not actually a bad thing. They're guys that from our childhood that we can point to that were perpetual mid carders their entire life. And yet, if you go to a convention, you know, maybe they're retired like 20 years. Their heyday was like the 80s, the 90s, but they were mid card guys, and you knew them. And so now you see them, it's like, oh my god, it's that guy. It's like, yeah, like you can still be a star, a notable star, and have a good career as a mid card guy. It's like, so I'm not necessarily hating on that.
I think you're.
I
I
guess
think
it's
you're
just like
soured. I think you're soured because like he was a big talking point from the he was a big like talking point from like the WWE, like I would guess like bot accounts and stuff, and that like big in the
Oh
big
yeah, there's
Fed wars. And because I don't think because like I tend to be a little sour on him at times. I'm like, I don't think he's ever done anything. Like I think he's just like catching strays from me because of the behavior from people that like think he
well
was
yeah,
like an easy one to grab onto. Because like he's always
there's a
struck me
certain
as like, and I mean his NXT stuff I didn't think was great for a long time. But like when I was thinking about it, I'm like, he hasn't really done anything. He's just kind of a professional. Like it's the people around him that like behave
there
like
was a
assholes.
there there's a certain like Scotsman who on Twitter who literally claimed that losing Ethan Page was going to be the same as when WCW lost Stone Cold Steve Austin or Steve Austin.
Yeah.
Uh, it's been a few years now. That has not, in fact, been like Ethan Page hasn't had his transformation into a Stone Cold level character, but I don't know. I guess the thing also, it's like, well, he's great for the mid card. It's like that's true, but now we were in like the TKO era,
Where
where it's like I don't
there
think
isn't a
even
mid card because they don't have enough matches
there's
on TV.
there isn't. That's a very good point. Like you could have a 3 hour Raw and have like 5 matches, but
Oh, you're
I mean,
feeling ambitious this week.
in fairness to Ethan Page, like I guess they're having another WWE Saturday Night main event, and he's going to face off against Penta for the Intercontinental title. It's like not that that
That doesn't
title
really.
matters. It hasn't mattered for like 20 years. But anyway, like I guess he's getting screen time. But it's I was gonna say like, great point about like, well, there's no matches. So what is even the mid card? But even beyond that, it's like I don't feel, especially in the last few weeks with pay cuts and guys getting fired. It's like at what point, if even if I mid card in theory, like back in the day, certainly under Vince, it's like all right, a mid card, I can be mid card in WWE for like the next 10 years. Like I'm set. And maybe you probably could. But now it's like there's no job security there. If you're mid card, it's like, yeah, maybe that's working for you. And maybe you'll be one of those guys that is still there 10 years from now, but
Yeah, but mid card
probably
now
not.
is like you get one match a month and you don't mean anything. Like even Penta, like like you said, he's facing Penta. And my first thing was like, okay, so it doesn't matter because Penta is just stuck in this eternal treadmill with like the same five guys over and over again.
Everybody's
That's
stuck in that
that's
company.
true, but Penta is still selling merch, so he's probably fine, like coasting, like
No, but like
going out there having a match
We've
every other week.
we've talked about Penta though. Penta made the right choice because he gets to half-ass it and make a shitload of merch money. Like if like I know like because we talk about how some guys did make like good choices going to WWE, and I think he made the right choice. But I also think like you couldn't fuck Penta up. Like they could do whatever they want. And he's always going to like with his own charisma keep himself over.
He just turns, yeah. Penta's got enough of that charisma that so many people just would die for. And to give him credit, the guy has enough in-ring ability that him, you know, half-assing it is better than a lot of stuff that they've seen on some WWE programming. So he finished out his contract and he said, "Okay, well, I'm going to go then." Unlike his brother, who, well, no, Penta caused problems on the way out too, didn't he?
No,
Yeah, he did.
not as much.
Well, I mean, he was talking a lot, and I think that
Yeah,
I think that might
I,
have
he
been
I
didn't.
guess
after.
He
I guess
didn't pitch.
he didn't cause problems, and it's like
It might
he didn't ride out his contract.
I think
He
he
didn't.
might have not said anything until he was in WWE.
I would have to go back and look because
He didn't.
in my head,
If he did anything, it wasn't to the level of Ray.
no,
I
no,
would
no.
say
Ray
I would.
Phoenix.
No.
No,
Penta
they did. They
Penta
did because
didn't.
he was. It was the Pac joining the Death Riders was because the Death Triangle was going to win the trios titles in Wembley, but then the Lucha Brothers were causing enough whatever that they're like, we're just not putting you on TV. until your
That
stuff's
could have
done.
been Phoenix, though.
It was both of them.
I would say
I had heard back in the day it was both of them.
I would say Penta could probably get a job with AEW again. I don't. Well, they said there's only one guy that he wouldn't rehire.
That's the rumor. The rumor is that Tony Khan has said that after everything, there's only even Punk. It's like there's still only one person that he would not rehire, and it's Ray Phoenix. Which it's like, I mean, Ray Phoenix did pull some shit where he's like, I'm in prison, like I'm being treated inhumanely.
I don't
and
think
meanwhile,
he'd take Rusev back.
It sounds like that Tony Khan, like he was injured, and so he extended for injury time, which I know that's a controversial subject, but both companies do it and have done it.
But
I mean, he's still getting paid.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing I hate when people like, well, let them out of their contract. It's like, if they're getting paid, I don't give a shit.
I think that there's things behind the scenes that we aren't privy to, but I think
right.
Reading between the lines, it sounds like it could. We know that Tony Khan, because other wrestlers have said this, that Tony Khan will personally, or somehow through the company, will pay for people's like medical care or treatment or surgery even. And trust me, as someone who's had like major surgery, like even something that's like like my knee got messed up, I need like knee surgery. It's like that can be thousands of dollars. And I don't mean like a couple thousand. I mean like that alone could be tens of thousands.
Well, they're sending them to like NFL doctors too, so
so it can cost like a lot of money, and Tony Khan like has been known to pay that. He's done that for people. It's on record. Like people have his workers have even said like he paid this. But didn't Will Ospreay recently say like Tony Khan?
Will Ospreay said that my surgery cost more than my house, and Tony.
Because remember, fuck, was that Conan that TNA fucked over on his hip surgery a long time ago? I think it was Conan.
Probably.
But like I was gonna say though, I don't care if you're getting paid. Like it's because you're seeing that people are crying now about John Jones and his UFC contract, and it's like I don't care. He signed an 8-fight contract, and he turned down a $30 million fight because he might lose. And then he turned down a $15 million fight that was just recently. It's like, so if they're offering him fights and he's not taking them, fuck him. Like, it's his problem. And I mean, I'm sorry, but like my sympathy when you turn down $30 million because you might lose, it's like, okay, whatever. You're not a serious person.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not. And John Jones is someone who I'm not going to express any sympathy for, regardless.
Like, and he's a professional. Because people are acting like, oh, like Netflix gonna buy him out and he's gonna fight Ngannou. I'm like, he's not gonna fight Ngannou. Like John Jones is a professional ducker. He even runs from pregnant women that he injures in auto accidents. Well, after he grabs his drugs, but that's neither here nor there. But no, it's like people think that's actually going to happen. It's like, no, he's going to, like, if they get him out of his UFC deal and buy him out, he's going to be like, oh, well, my hip's arthritic. I can't fight him because I might lose.
Yeah, the idea of someone who's a big name fighter not taking fights because he's afraid that he's going to take an L really, really damages their perception. And so I don't have a lot of sympathy for that. And to what got us here, the other thing I was going to say, I know the statement is the only person that would not be rehired would be Ray Phoenix, but we also don't know, like, there's got to be like an array, a spectrum, a range of like, oh yeah, I'd love to have him back, or yeah, I'd like to have this person back if X, Y, Z, conditions on it and stuff like that. I cannot imagine that, some of this stuff is going to go, that some of the people coming back, they would have to be like, no. You're going to have to like make a personal apology tour and that sort of stuff. Well, I mean, whereas Phoenix was like, I'm being treated badly because Tony Khan's a big meanie and I'm going to tell everybody about it. It's like, now you see that right there? What you're doing is you are making this personal and taking it public instead of directly to the person. I totally get why he says not you.
Well, Andrade being back on TV as soon as he was shows you like what happens when you do business both ways. Well, and I think what happened, I think it's, is that verified? Because the WWE pulled some fuckery and were like, oh no, he's under contract with us for like 2 years. And then I believe AEW got some lawyers involved that were like, oh, that's real funny. Be ashamed if that turned into a lawsuit. And they're like, oh, we
So
were just kidding
yeah,
about that.
I think Roosh got him an attorney, and they just backed off.
Roosh did, and I'm not surprised by that because the key component to that
They sent Mordos over there and they were like, oh, we don't want to fuck with that guy.
You just see a chair fly through and the mask come in the door and like, nope, we're good.
Yeah, I'm just a simple Minotaur lawyer. Your ways like anger and confuse me.
The key component to that was like, well, I'm an independent. What is an independent contractor? And if WWE actually tried to press that, where it's like his non-compete is 1 year, like he could have, if he filed in court, then all that business about independent contractor and defining it in law, like this is what it like they didn't want that. They didn't want that because a court could define what that is, and all of a sudden every single contract for every single person under the WWE roster, everyone, all of a sudden gets upended.
You know what they
can't pull the bullshit that they pull.
Well,
if that's the case.
Well, and where they went wrong is they weren't paying him. Like if they were saying like, oh no, we're still paying him, you can't sign him. Like, and then I think they have an issue. They wouldn't have an argument, but they were like, no, we fired him and we said we fired him, but he can't.
Andrade is a unique situation because one, like when he did leave, he did it, as they say, the right way. Meaning, like he fulfilled all his obligations, and when
he worked hard. Well, and not only that, he fulfilled his obligations, but he worked really hard.
He did work hard. When it's like, brother, you're gonna go out there and count the lights. He's like, yes, boss, and did it. And he didn't go into business for himself.
Well, he never
complaining, whatever. He handled it professionally.
People would shit on him for that run, but like working hard was never an issue. Even like during that whole run, it was like some backstage things. But like even
he had
like
some bad. Well, yeah.
But like, because there's even that like there was like a random collision match with like I think Darby and Sammy that was great.
That was great.
And like he always
great match.
He always worked hard, and I mean even like, but like even the story that people like were really holding against him, it was like he had an issue with Sammy Guevara, and I was like, yeah, but everyone was trying to punch him in the face in that era, so I don't know how much like do I really hold that against him because like that it was like a month after Eddie Kingston and him got into it. It's just like I don't know how much to really put into that story.
Part of it, because I had to go and do some looking on this. Early Sammy Guevara had his, people talk about Sammy had his vlogs. And I don't know who he was, the person that he had been doing them with. I can't remember who it is. But the person he started doing them with was someone else, and they were doing a whole bunch of that prank shit.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, that's a good way to get everybody to hate your ass. And Sammy also had some, what's the phrase I'm looking for here? Verbal missteps, to put it nicely.
And like he was young and getting a lot of money, and that just kind of, because there's shit with like there's like shit. I hate to defend like Randy Orton, but there's stuff people hold like against Randy Orton at this point that's 15 or 17 years old, and I'm just, and like I don't like him, and like I don't like that he did those things, but then like me as an older person, I was thinking like, man, like if I was 25, like I'd probably be a dickhead too, like if like I was getting all that money and success at the time, and like he did mellow out, and I think, and when Randy really mellowed out was when he became a dad, and like Sammy seems like he's started to mellow out too because he's starting to get a little older.
Yeah.
And Dustin, I think Dustin like put him in a headlock and said like, if you fuck up, I'm going to literally beat your
Dustin
ass.
Rhodes looking you in the eye and saying, you're going to do what I tell you to. You go, yes, sir. Not because you're afraid of what Dustin's going to do to you, but you don't want to be the person that disrespects someone like Dustin Rhodes for that. So,
but
that,
yeah. Another thing about Andrade was that I mean, you also kind of understood why he wanted to go back to WWE. He was married to Charlotte at the time, and then
Yeah.
they, of course, have gotten a divorce, and they didn't book him well in this WWE run. So when he comes back, it's not really that much of a surprise. And
And then he
he
doesn't
has,
work for like 3 months.
yeah, but he has. I say he's been on fire. Like his work is like amazing right now, and clearly it's paying dividends. And I think that I think
It's
Tony Khan
because
probably will do something.
because the thing is, he's the type of guy that if you piss him off like WWE did, like in light of fire under his ass, like he's an I'm going to be so amazing, I'm going to cram it right up your ass. Is he the kind of guy
Yeah,
he is? It's
yeah.
like Cleveland, and he went to the Bengals and he tried to throw Baker Mayfield under the bus. And then Baker, for like the next 2 years, every time they played the Bengals, would throw for like 400 yards and 4 touchdowns because he just wanted to ram it up Hugh Jackson's ass
So
every single time.
another comparison on that. This past this past season, Kentucky Wildcats had two players that had been cut from I think it was Oklahoma. One of them was Brandon Garrison, and can't remember what the other one was. But when they played against Oklahoma, all of a sudden these guys just, to use it, they just went Super Saiyan, because it's just like, oh, you sons of bitches, I'm gonna show you, you sons of bitches, and just played on a whole new level. I think Andrade coming over and then be like, because I could even see he comes back. I could see Don Callis being the guy that does this. Andrade's back in the locker room, like, hey, we got some plans for you. And Don Callis like, hey man, it's good to see you back. So, how you doing? You gonna let him? You saw what they did. You gonna let him? You gonna show them what they're doing? You gonna show them what they're missing out on? You gonna show those sons of bitches like who you really are? And Andrade is like, you know I am. And it's like, there we go. Because his first, what, 2-3 matches back, he went super hard, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he did.
So, what I'm hearing, either he's shoving it in their face, or it's, you know what, the gloves are off. Let's just do this. Let's just go. Let's just prove that I can be the guy, because he doesn't have anything tethering him over there.
Yeah.
What's funny to me also, well, I did one thing I wanted to go back to in a second, but what's funny to me is, like, I guess I don't know if it's he created. I like to think that he obviously had the input. It's like he went to Tony Khan and it's like, hey, okay, so my gimmick now is I'm really good looking and girls want me, and it's like, okay, it's like, no, I'm really good looking. Look at my hair, and and girls are gonna want me and take pictures of me. And Tony Khan's probably like, okay, are you gonna have good matches? Oh yeah, but girls are gonna want. But it's all he's been doing a great job.
It works,
and I love that it's like he's gonna stop.
You're
in the
making
middle of the
me
match,
think
and he's
of.
gonna go pose with the girl and take a photo.
I don't know if it was.
It's hilarious, but he's been so good. It's like, and the gimmick is so funny. It's like, you know what? Let him do his thing.
I don't know if it was a Simpsons meme, because you're making me think of it. It might have been a Simpsons meme where it's like Triple H and Tony Khan talking. Triple H is like, "Yeah, I'm using AI to book," and it's really derogatory towards Triple H, and Tony Khan's just there like, "I do cocaine." But they're talking about booking.
it's it's like a more subdued Rick Rude gimmick. And you know what? Everybody borrows from somebody else. Everyone's inspired by somebody else. And it works, man. It works. So just let it roll.
I love old Rick Rude, especially when Percy Pringle is his like manager. Just because the thing people don't understand is they think of Percy Pringle as like pallbearer, and like the best Percy is like 80s Percy when he's in the South and he's blonde. And he's just a funny motherfucker, so he's out there like just riffing and stuff as a manager.
He's funny, and he's also a prick, and it's impressive because he's just
him. Because if you watch his shoot with, I think, Jim Cornette, like he's hilarious in that thing.
Yeah, and he's here he is, he's telling this, but he was cutting the promo, and he's funny, but he's also being a prick at the same time. So it's a very much
Yeah.
there's a reason that he's on the echelon with Heenan and Cornette as managers. It's just he bought in so hard to the gimmick that that's all anybody thinks of.
He has one of my favorite Vince stories ever because well, how he got hired is interesting too because like he was a real mortician, so that's kind of how he got his gig. But there was some story because I guess so back in the day his nickname in the locker room was Pooh Bear. That was his nickname, and then Undertaker was Wendy because of the red hair back in the day. Just as a funny, but so there was some angle they wanted him to do, and he didn't want to do it. Like he was dead set against doing it. He said even Vince came in, and Vince like, come on, do it for me, Pooh Bear. And he was just like, he's like, I couldn't. Once he called me Pooh Bear, it was like over. Because he's also where the Undertaker cucumber story came from.
Yeah.
He's the one that.
Okay. Since we had been talking about Beyond the Mat, unfortunately, no, not every story has a positive outcome because of what withdraws, but that right there is making me think, he's gonna do it, Pooh Bear. He's gonna do it, Pooh Bear.
He's gonna puke. He's gonna puke.
He's gonna puke, Pooh Bear. Are you seeing it?
I forgot that was on there.
Yeah.
But I think it was. There was also I forgot. I just thinking about there was the Bret Hart documentary that came out a little before that.
Yeah, Hitman Hart.
But that one's kind of weird, and I haven't seen that in a long time. And
how can I put this? It is. If it hadn't been for Beyond the Mat, I think it would be it would be the one that people look at as the seminal. This is the one that treats it with respect and stuff. But really, what it is it seems right up until the screw job at the end of it. I'm gonna get hate for this. It does seem like it's intent on glazing Brett.
yeah.
For that. And I just remember this thing that's like they're talking about the Hart Foundation doing this promo, and Brett goes to Neidhart with this Winston Churchill quote, and I'm like, the hell do you want him to say that? Why do you want it? It doesn't fit. It doesn't make any difference. It doesn't have anything to do. Why? And he would not let it go. I'm like, why do you? And but then you get like the footage about the screw job.
Yeah,
out of
that
it.
was kind of a happy coincidence for them because I think they were.
Yeah.
Brett's a mark for himself, like to a terminal degree. So.
Yeah.
It is funny how he got his voice spot on The Simpsons because I guess they brought him in, and someone else was going to voice it. They just wanted, I think, to get some they're either going to ask him some questions or something, or they wanted just to get like concept art of him.
Mm-hmm.
And someone else was going to voice it, and then I guess people in the office were like fans and stuff, so he was nice to them, and then at the end they were just kind of like, "Well, do you just want to voice it?" So he was like, "Yeah, I got it because I was nice to people and hung around for a little bit."
Yeah.
And then, has there been any other documentaries since, I think, that have been... Because I think the only other piece of wrestling media that's kind of, like, on the same tier as it is The Wrestler, but that's fiction.
It is.
Non-fiction fiction.
I see The Wrestler as kind of a fictional successor to Beyond the Mat.
It's like a spiritual successor, right?
It's like a fictionalized.
Yeah.
It's like a fictionalized spiritual successor.
There's almost like shades of both the Jake Roberts story and the Terry Funk story in The Wrestler. And it would not. I don't know this, but who did that? Darren Aronofsky.
Yeah.
Like, it would not surprise me if he was influenced by Beyond the Mat. Like, I don't know that he saw it. You know, I'm not trying to attribute, but
it should have gotten Best Picture that year. Fuck them for picking milk in a
Yeah.
book that no one even remembers.
Yeah. Like I
God.
really, it does seem like it could have been influenced
Ed
by
Wood
the
got
anime.
fucked too, by the way. I don't remember what won over it that year though.
It was, yeah.
Forrest Gump.
The thing that I remember about
Eddie.
the wrestler
Eddie.
was how real that movie felt.
Sorry, Shad. We're gonna
Fuck
make
you.
that is on the review thing because we're gonna make Shad watch that so he understands the dumb shit Matt and I say all the time.
The wrestler was the one that felt the most real, and I watched that movie twice, and it's like I don't want to watch it anymore. It's like one of the best movies I never want to see again. And it felt real, and there's no way that anyone's going to convince me.
Because they make you. I think why that movie works so well, at least for me, I think what I came away from that is like he's really likable, and they make you feel stupid for like rooting for him because he was always going to be a fuck up, but like he was a likable fuck
You
up.
wanted him to make it so bad. You wanted him to make it so bad, and then whenever he fell off, you felt bad for him.
You know, though, you're right about the spiritual successor thing because the thing with his daughter was almost ripped straight from Beyond the Mat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the line that he had of where he said, "I'm a broken down piece of meat and I'm alone and I deserve to be. I just don't want you to hate me." Like if you watch that whole scene, that is just a dagger right in the heart. And Mickey Rourke went and trained with Afa and Sika, I think it was. I think that's who it was. In order to be able to like do the stuff properly. And so apparently when they'd be doing a scene, he'd go back and like, no. And he'd change lines so that they would sound right. It's like, no, that's not how they would say that. Let's fix this. And it's
We'll do a proper review of Beyond the Mat one day. I just wanted to talk about it because
because Blaustein passed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he died. I looked at what he died of. I don't remember what it was now though. I don't think it was pleasant, but yeah, it's a very important thing. I think
Cancer.
Might have been pancreatic, but I was looking at someone else though.
Ooh.
I'm looking.
I was looking at someone else, and I might be confusing two deaths because I know. Roland Alexander died of heart disease and diabetes, which, if you know what he looks like, I know you're like, oh my god, like, I'm shocked that he had diabetes.
Yeah, it's not a surprise. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And
he was diagnosed.
And he had Parkinson's too.
Yeah.
So he got double.
Yeah, Parkinson's, which I mean, most people's understandings of Parkinson's, if they don't have know someone who has it, is maybe like, Michael J. Fox, who I diagnosed with it like 25 years ago, a long time ago. But I have in my personal life, I have a friend who, like, her father has Parkinson's and it has progressed. And we saw her not that long ago, like a month or so ago. And maybe a month and a half, she explained like how he is now, and it's like actually heartbreaking. Like once the disease progresses, it's bad. Like it's too much information, I guess. But she said like he's still able to by himself go to the bathroom, but he'll go to the bathroom and it's like 30 minutes.
People think you just shake because people. This is TMI, and you can't tell on the thing, but like I don't know if my hand will do it.
You got like a mainline trimmer or something?
I have like essential trimmers, so my hands shake. So like I can't paint minis anymore because my hands shake too much. Or if you try and watch me do something really minuscule, I'm shaky. But people like, do you have Parkinson's? Like that's really not like a symptom. Like it's very neurological driven. Like no, I checked when I started shaking, and like no, shaking is not necessarily a symptom. Like you have severe neurological issues, which I do not have. Like I just shake.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things, his big thing is like he would fall. And he broke his hip not that long ago, and at this point, he's basically confined to a wheelchair because it's like even if
Yeah.
you recover from
Because you just
the
deteriorate.
broken hip,
You just
yeah,
deteriorate.
if you recover from that, it's like you probably should be like seated because you're very high fall risk, and
Yeah.
because neurologically you can't.
When you start falling, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's terrible, but then he got pancreatic cancer, which is even worse. But he was also 71. It's like you reach your 70s, it's not like it's necessarily like a surprise, you get sick. Like obviously nowadays people live to be even older, and they should.
Yeah,
but
if you're 70 right now, your statistical probability of making it to 90 is like way higher than you would think, like almost half.
And not to be like, well,
and it'll get better.
congratulations, but
It'll get better because medical treatment's continually improving.
There's probably a higher percentage of people, and I'm not just saying this because like there's like 6-7 billion people on the planet. That's a lot of people, obviously, but I mean like statistically, like the amount of people who are like 70 or older in this day and age, like it's probably more than any human.
Well, it's because
like back in the day, you would get, if you lived to be like the ripe old age of 35, you'd be like, I've lived a long life. And it's
the funny thing about modern lifespan is people think it's medical related, and it's actually not. It's modern sewage is why we live so much longer now, because we got waste away from food and water. That's why we live so much longer now. So it's kind of, it's why, because if you look at like the explosion from like the 1900s to now, it's like it almost doubled because of
part of the prevalence of people in remote regions of the U.S. doing better came with someone. I can't remember the guy's name. I wish I had. Going out and talking to them about, honestly, moving the outhouse further away from the house. And what that did is that separated that from everything else in their life. And yeah, you had to walk farther, and that's not fun, and that's not something you want, but it made things healthier the whole way around.
And also, I think, just as you talk about like average and life expectancy, not having infants die, like people having 13 kids, so like 5 of them survive, isn't like necessarily a thing anymore. So that also ups like expectancies and all of that stuff. And you've also gotten rid of a lot of the like those illnesses that you might survive as a child, but like will severely like hamper your
polio and stuff.
Yeah, though I know someone that had polio that even was crippled by it, that lived into like their 80s. So
right, but that's still a big hit to take.
Though it blows my mind that people don't want to vaccinate for polio. It's like you're old enough to know someone that had polio, like
within living memory.
Yeah.
And by the way, I just looked it up since we're talking about like advances, not just advances like in medicine, but also technology, whatever. Norman Borlaug, like I looked him up because it's always like an anecdote that people like will throw up on social media or something like that, but it's true. It's like Norman Borlaug. Who was he? He was a agronomist.
Yep.
He had a PhD in plant pathology and genetics. What's he most famous for? Like he developed he developed different varieties of wheat. They were a disease resistant, high yield, and he really pushed that. He was known as the father of the Green Revolution, also known as like the father of modern agriculture.
Yeah.
Like his work in creating like these varieties of wheat that were very disease resistant and high yield, so they would produce a lot of it, was implemented, and they estimate that he wound like the number of lives that he saved by implementing this and like pushing it into some of the countries like Mexico, Pakistan, other places, that he saved over 1 billion lives. And probably like in the last 100 years, like he's probably someone who legitimately allowed the population of the world to be like billions of people because he pushed varieties.
I'm gonna make
one of the things that he did was he developed dwarf wheat, because they were able to develop wheat that had higher yield, but the stalks were so long that it would break and fall over and die. And he developed that high yield with the shorter stalk so that that didn't happen. And that was, I think that was, I mean, you're right, the disease resistance and the higher yields, but I think that was the last, the domino in the chain that pushed it over. I think he won a Nobel Peace Prize.
It's why people are bigger now. Like, I don't know. Have you guys ever gone to, like, I've been to El Moro, and I've been to, like, a recreation of the Santa Maria, so I'm, like, 5'10". When I went to El Moro, I literally had to duck into doors and stuff, and they had recreations of, like, their furniture. I couldn't have sat on it.
Yeah.
Because the average height back then was, like, 5'3". And, like, when I was on the recreation, like, the perfect recreation of the Santa Maria, I had to duck to go inside of it and stuff.
That's part of the reason George Washington was such an impressive person. He was 6'1" in an era where that just towered over a lot of people.
You know what annoys me with George Washington, though, is people like to use that factoid that he lost every battle that he fought in. And it's like, that misses the point, though. Well, he didn't. But also, the reason that doesn't matter is his retreats were so organized and well executed that they lost very few people. So that also was, like, a big deal. And I was going to make it...
It was predicated on not losing so many people you don't have an army anymore.
Yeah. And
because people would quit if they lost too many.
And I was going to make a joke during the wheat talk that, was he driven by a passion for people not giving in to their urges?
That's different.
There's a whole section
of cornflakes, Matt. Brad, that's cornflakes.
There's a whole section of West of Loathing where you go to, like, the Kellogg farm, and there's like all these passages about it and stuff. And it's just, I always think that's funny. That's why he invented cornflakes. Well, no, cornflakes was for health, but it was also so people wouldn't beat their meat. So
one of the special items you pick up in West of Loathing from the Kellogg farm when you complete a quest is the iron underwear. And it's line art of, like, a chastity belt with a giant lock on the front, like it's from Men in Tights.
Oh, I was about to make that joke too. We need to do Men in Tights one day, because my favorite one from that is, like, so why do they call you the witch latrine? Like, well, it used to be shithouse. Like, change is good. Good change.
There's a lot of great jokes in it. There are some of them that are very dated. Like the Macaulay Culkin kid. It's like, I get why you did that, but that one does not age as well.
Or when they oh god, this, I still remember this, Blinken with the Braille Playboy. Oh shit! Oh god, that's such a...
You lost your arms in battle, but you grew some nice boobs.
Oh man, I love that movie. Because it holds up pretty well, and I just rewatched Holy Grail, which is still hilarious. I need to rewatch Life of Brian, and I need to watch Meaning of Life. I think is hilarious. I think Meaning of Life is the best one.
When it comes to Monty Python movies, I still go with Holy Grail as the best, but there's my favorite scene out of any of them is with Pilot in Life of Brian, because where they keep messing with the guards who are trying not to laugh.
Dickus?
Yeah. Well, what they did was they told the extras playing the guards, they said, if you laugh, you don't get paid. And so they are desperately trying to hang on. And then you have, what was that? That was Eric Idle, I think, leaning in on him. Goes, you have a problem with my friend? Dickus? And these poor guys are just falling apart. But it's so funny because they're just merciless on these guys. And I love it.
I also think the stoning scene is hilarious, because women weren't allowed to go to the stoning. It's all women dressed up like men. And then, like, there's a point where he's doing something and, like, just a random stone hits him in the head. He's like, who did that?
Yeah. I didn't say that. I said the fish was good enough for Jehovah. And there comes Rock. We're not doing that yet.
I do love Meaning of Life, though, like the Catholic, every sperm is sacred, and you just see the line of kids like walking out of their house, and then the it's just wafer thin.
Is huevos in. Yeah, Jean Cleese's over-the-top French accent has so much mileage. Are you so? Is
Oh,
one
and
min?
the
Is
rugby.
huevos in?
I think the rugby game's hilarious in that too.
It's been so long since
Where
I
they have
watched
like
Men
they
in
have like
Black.
12-year-olds playing like grown men and they're just wrecking them. And there's one point where like one of the kids actually gets the ball and he's running the other way and one of the professors like trips him. Oh god. I love Holy Grail's hilarious though because um there was something happening with like the quartering drama and someone like they actually did a descending thing, so I'll do that in comments once. And they started because what he'll do is he'll talk a lot of shit and people will invite him onto streams and always have an excuse to not do it and he'll pussy out.
Mhm.
And someone did like a running thing in like a YouTube comments of the Brave Sir Robin song.
Yeah,
And I just thought it was funny. I'm like, that is a good call.
yeah.
But I just love that he's like, can I just face a bit of the peril?
Just a little peril. No, you can't. It's too perilous. I bet you're gay. We probably ought to get to our match before we
Yeah.
just turn into a
Sorry,
Python
look.
quote fest here.
I do want to do Men in Tights and at least Holy Grail one day.
So that might be a good thing to Beyond the Mat might be a really good one if if I can get Crow to join us for it, because
It'd be
he's
interesting
still
to get a non.
kind of around the edges on it. And I'd be interested to hear his thoughts on the filmmaking decisions that go with it.
I think he would be interesting because like it's something he's unfamiliar with, but I think it's well made, so it would. And he had some really, when we had him on for PCU, I thought he had some really interesting like insights into
Yeah.
that.
Well, the fact that everybody in PCU is a dick is like, you're right. I just never thought about that.
Well, you know what I do? But the thing that I liked about PCU, though, we talked about at the time, is like they didn't have a sociopathic end to everything. They all kind of like worked it out.
Yeah.
Versus like some other
Yeah, they
things.
got it together.
Oh, did that that happened last week too? Ogre died.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
but
it's a shame.
I know.
Not just Ogre, but Frank Duke's friend from the Kumite tournament.
He was in Night Court.
Was he?
Yeah, he did an episode of Night Court.
You bring up Night Court. I was driving somewhere, so I pulled one of our old episodes. And you had a Night Court reference in that one too.
I love Night Court. I think Night Court
People-
is top 5 for top 5 for sitcoms. And Brent Spiner's in it a lot.
People rob banks, Harry.
And
That's I'm a fan of Night Court too, and that's true. That's a great. Did I mention that? I feel like I
Yeah.
mentioned that.
Yeah.
That's still like to me is like a great line, because like Bull the bailiff pulls out just this wad. They needed like they needed money for something. I don't know. He just pulls out a wad of cash, and it's like, Bull, why do you have like this wad? And I mean, it's like a stack of bills. Like, Bull, why do you have like all this money in your pocket? And he's like, he just nonchalantly goes, people rob. It's like, it's like, what? It's been like 30 years at least, and I still remember that line.
I love.
I watched the hell out of Night Court.
Yeah.
John Larroquette as Dan was my favorite.
It's a great show. It really is. I need to rewatch it. It's on something I've been saying like you need to rewatch that because it's great. And you know, I got pissed off though because I started watching Soap and I got like 2 episodes in and they took it off the service and I got pissed off at them. That's also another great show. Okay, so this week we have so this is from 2023. So we picked a recent one. So this is Kento Miyahara defending the Triple Crown title against Yuji Nagata. Now, if you're going to watch this, it's on YouTube. The one thing you need to know is when they there was a point where they split from Mrs. Baba, and because she's not a nice person, she took the original belt, so they had to have a new belt made. So the Triple Crown title is just a belt now, which is sad. So this is Kento is defending against Yuji Nagata, and this is about like 25 minutes, I think. 25-ish
Yeah.
minutes. And
About.
it's an interesting match. So it kind of happens as they do a lot of like the prelim work you've come to expect. It's all very respectful. Um, very clean breaks. They accentuate it. And then Nagata just decides to be a dick. And then it just kind of descends from there into its own match. But like, so they kind but what I like about it is, so what happens is they Miyahara kind of goes to do some lockups, and Nagata just starts kicking him, and then he gets him in this armbar, and he's just being an asshole about it. And then Miyahara's like, okay, well, if you want to, if this is what we're doing, like, I am going to give it right back to you. And then it just kind of goes from there. And there's like some cool attention to detail things in there that I liked.
Yeah,
From
Miyahara. Sorry to cut you off, Chad. Miyahara, like, to me, came off like a little bit like a heel in this. I understand that Nagata was kind of playing a dick, but to me, like, when Kento like was like, oh, okay, like, that's how we're gonna do it. Like, he came to me, like, he started being more of like a heel. And plus, Nagata has like the cachet. It's like the old veteran, like, trying to win the title. So it's like you kind of want to root for him.
I feel
I'm
like
sorry, though.
it didn't come across that way to me, because like Nagata, like, facial expressions, the way he was like doing holds and stuff was needlessly, I would say, aggressive, I think, to set him up as a heel. But I feel like Miyahara did that, but he was kind of like, look, I was being respectful because of who you are, but if you're gonna act this way, like, I'm just gonna fuck your world up. Like, all bets are off now.
Yeah. What were we gonna say, Shad? I'm sorry, I cut you off.
So the opening on this match really threw me, because they come out and they do their entrances, and they mute during Nagata's music because it's probably copyright.
Yeah, it's a there. I think it said it was copyright on the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was interesting. That was interesting. They
they come out and they're doing this.
They do that to the Saitos now for some shows, because they come out to Dream Warriors by Dawkins, which best entrance music ever, but sometimes they mute it and it pisses me off because I wanna rock out to some Dawkins for my wrestling.
They start this match and it's like, okay, we're gonna do our feeling out phase. But the thing that really threw me in this is it happened 3 or so times. Is they're doing this feeling out phase, and they move and they go back, and then they just stop dead in front of each other and back away from each other. And I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you doing, like, Miyahara they're doing something and they just stop and they're looking at each other, and then Miyahara backs away, and I'm like, you're killing, like, I understand you want to have a slow, open, feeling out phase, kind of build the stuff. That's cool. But every time you stop dead like that, it makes it look like you forgot what you were doing, or you're not sure what to do next, and it just kills your momentum. And that just absolutely frustrated me to see it.
They kind of paid that off, though, when Nagata started being a jerk.
Well, like you said, Nagata starts being a prick with the armbar thing. And I loved this because I don't remember seeing other people do it. It's probably happened, but I don't remember it. He's got the armbar, Miyahara gets the ropes, and the ref's like, let it go, let it go, let it go. And Nagata's like, nope. And then the ref counts 1, 2, 3, 4, and Nagata lets go, and then just slaps it right back on. So the ref has to count it again. And I'm like, you old prick.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I love that.
And I liked, there's a spot, I really like the spot. Someone should steal it. So there's a spot where they're on the outside. They do a lot of outside stuff here that I think is pretty decent. But so he's going to toss Miyahara into the ring post, but he takes his arm and he puts it behind his back and traps it. And then he rams that shoulder right into the ring post to get maximum, like, effect. And like that, you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of the old Anderson arm, like, hammerlock body slam. Kind of reminded me of like that in concept. Like, that is a really clever spot. Someone should steal that.
I appreciated in this match the number of times that Nagata took the opportunity just to be a massive prick anytime he had the chance. Like, he took his opportunities. He took a bunch of small opportunities to just be a prick. And it's like, I appreciate that a lot. Because there's so many cases where people let that pitch go by. But he did not. He was just like, nope, we got this. We're gonna, we've got the chance to go with this, so it's what I'm gonna do. And
I like that it wasn't necessarily cheating. It was kind of like I would say the William Regal like school of, oh, this isn't like cheating. I'm just being unnecessarily like an asshole.
yeah, I'm being a dick.
Or I'm just
And
doing
you know
this
what?
to annoy
Yeah.
you.
And I'm fine with that because you're not supposed to, if you're going to be a heel, you want people to hate your guts. And what he's doing is making sure he's finding ways to piss people off in all of these little ways. And that's excellent. That's what we, more people I think need to be doing that. Yeah, MJF is good at it. MJF understands being a heel in a way a lot of people don't. But
you know what I liked about this is I was watching it, and there's a couple spots. Like there's a spot where like Miyahara gets like run into the guardrail, and then Nagata like exploder suplexes him on the floor. And I was watching some like damn, you could pick up some old salty vet, and I could see Darby Allin having this match on Dynamite just with something a little crazier mixed in there. And I'm like, that would really like work well.
yeah. Yeah,
And
100%.
the Saito suplex end I thought was cool. I liked when they were on the top rope and like Miyahara could just not get Nagata to fall off the top.
And
Nagata was being a dick about it too. That's what
Yeah.
was also the great part.
One of the things in this match that I saw and I was just like, oh, don't like that was some of the headbutt spots.
Yeah, I know.
I was just like, oh no, please don't do that. Oh God. I don't know if I could imagine it, but I damn felt like I heard those. Oh, do you guys remember one of the Joshi matches you guys had me watch a while back? And I think Vanny was one of the competitors in it. And in that match, there's a headbutt.
Yeah.
That headbutt still haunts me. The sound that went with it, that crunch. And
I thought
I'm just
you were
like,
gonna bring up.
oh.
I thought you were gonna bring up Nigel headbutting the ring post.
Well, we talked about that, how dumb that was.
Yeah.
I didn't like the finish just because I felt it was kind of like abrupt. I mean, the Saito suplex was cool, but I wasn't. I had to look it up afterwards because it's like I remembered that Nagata won the Triple Crown, but I didn't realize it was this match.
I thought he was either gonna.
Oh, wow, yeah.
I thought he was either gonna win it or lose it in this one. That's why I picked it. So.
Yeah.
I expected it.
And I thought the match was good, but I was like, it was okay to me because I felt a lot of it was really just was Kento kind of moving, like slowing down to move it Nagata's speed. And I like Nagata. It's not as if I don't like Nagata, but he's older now, and so he's he's not moving like he was. But the guy's in his 50s now.
Yeah,
right?
and what he does is so if you don't know, so in New Japan he's like a lower card guy. He works with a lot of the young guys. So if you watch a house show, you might see a guy that's had 5 matches, and he works an 8-minute match with Nagata.
Yeah,
that's what he does a lot of, which I think is a really great way of doing it with your older veteran guys because he does that. Kojima does that, and Tenzan was doing that, even though Tenzan's retiring. But so then he'll kind of go out to Noah or All Japan and still get pushed because he has name value. So I think in this era he's won the GHC and the Triple Crown because this is him finishing the trifecta of those belts for him. So.
Yeah, he's one of the handful of guys who ever.
Yeah, we actually got that almost right. We only missed one. We only missed Takayama.
So it's Kensuke, Muto,
Kojima.
Kojima, Nagata, Akiyama.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any more than that.
There might have been one more, but I can't remember who it was.
Well, I don't think he ever will. But I mean, if Jake Lee won the IWGP title,
they don't want to.
like,
They don't want to drive that many people away from their shows.
the problem is Jake Lee's not a great worker,
And
and
he's
kinda
like an
did bad.
anti-draw.
He was bad for the business of All Japan and Noah as champ, but he's kind of entertaining in New Japan just because he's just not curious. And he's kind of like a clown there, so it's like, oh, okay, well, he actually has found like a weird like niche there in New Japan. But anyway, I like the match. I just thought that to kind of like slowed himself down for Nagata, and I felt the finish to me was a little not that out of nowhere, but I wasn't expecting it. It was kind of just like
I said
Nagata just like three moves, and they're big moves, but like just 3 moves, and like boom, pins him.
I said I liked the concept of the match. I liked the story they told, and I thought they executed it fairly well. Like I was like, I kind of wish Nagata was a little younger and a little more spry for this. But I thought like, because even his moveset was a little like, it was a little dumbed down because I think he can't do as much anymore. It actually made me look up some of his WCW stuff afterwards, and he actually had a pretty decent like entrance music. I was like, oh, they didn't have like some stereotypical like Asian music for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things, because I remembered watching Nagata on Nitro, that still holds true for him at this place is Nagata's kicks are still just premier. His kicks are so good.
They have like a real weight to them.
And I would be willing to bet that he was also capable of working them very well. Like on one hand, could he just lay the hell in on him? Well, yeah. But then on the other hand, I'd be willing to bet he was also good enough that he could work them very, very well.
I've never seen him get super potatoed in a match. So I think he was probably fine. Did he go hardcore? He might have stiffed Kawada when we watched that tag, though. They were kind of going hard on each other in that match.
Is that stiffing or is that just working really snug?
Probably. Well, I think the general rule is that's why I've always been. It's why I've always been softer on Vader about stiffing guys, is because you could, and Chad probably has a different like philosophy on that as a worker, but like I'm less hard on guys that are like, yeah, I'm gonna potato you and stiff the fuck out of you, but like, just feel free to do it right back to me, because if I'm doing it, it's fair game back, and for me that's like, okay, well, that's not my preferred way, but fair game. It's the guys that do it and then get all pissy with it.
Oh, you mean low key?
Yeah, though I did see a funny clip of I guess one of Ken Shamrock's early matches in WWE, he broke Vader's nose with a knee, and Vader got a receipt and just clubbed the fuck out of him and like almost knocked him clean out.
Yeah, I've seen that match. There's debate on if Shamrock was super green or if they were like, Vader's going to go hard on you, so you better go hard on him. Because in that match, Vader was telling him to, ease up, ease up. And it's just like Vader, of all people, telling you to ease up. Okay.
He'd been working since like '90, so I don't know how green he can be, because there's some stuff with him with a different name, and he had done Pancrase, and like Pancrase wasn't always a shoot. I think he might have just gotten a little. They talk about that with a lot of guys. I think he just was like on a big show, and he just was got a little too into it, because I know that happened with. That's what led to Ernie Ladd sitting on Dr. Death, because he was getting a little too rambunctious and being like, look, we're going to sit here until you listen to me. And then I know people said, and Austin said he had to do this once, just like Ray Traylor would get carried away
Yeah.
and you have to sock him once to get him to stop.
It could be that. It could be someone got in his ear and was like, "Now Vader's going to stiff you. You got to give it to him first." So,
But I that's not always true though, because like if you hear him talk about his Ric Flair match, he was like, "Look, like I had to get Flair mad in the match to have him do what to lay it into me enough."
yeah.
And because like the thing is, you can't say that about a guy that got his eye knocked out in a match and just.
Oh no! Not saying that at all.
I just say that people are like you got to stiff Vader first. I'm just like Vader's gonna do what he's gonna do, and like he just understands that like if you give it back, like it's fair game. That's why I'm not as.
I think the thing I was looking for is people telling you, "Oh, he's going to go hard on you. You need to make sure that you let him know that you're willing to do it too." And Shamrock, you know, being willing to do that was handing it out a bit harder than I think anybody was prepared for.
I guess that advice to me is just kind of probably like if you went up and talked to Vader about it, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you. Just feel free to beat me up back, because that's the game."
My my philosophy on that was always, if you come and tell me, then okay, I know that going in, and I can deal with that. But if we just get out there and you just start stiffing me, I'm going to do my dead level best. I'm not just going to start clobbering you. I was going to find the right opportunity to hit you
Do the
as hard as I could in a spot you would not appreciate.
Rick Steiner knocking Chris Champion out.
I only did it once. I had a guy who decided to start stiffing me, and so I grabbed him by the hair and pulled his head sideways and punched him on the jawbone right under the ear. And because I was just like, nope. If we're gonna do it, I'm taking one shot.
I just figured.
Wham! And
I just figured too. There's some guys that get out there and they start beating the shit out of you, and you give them a hard shot, and they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Like I'm getting a little out of control, aren't I?" Like I
well,
figured that
it came after I said, "Hey, dude, ease up," and his response was, "Or what?"
Yeah,
And it's like,
that's
"Oh,
different.
okay, all right, gotcha.
But
I see what we're doing."
But I also imagine like there's instances where like some guy will just straight up like hit you and be like, "Oh fuck, dude, I'm sorry." Like that's not.
Oh, I
Was...
did that. I said I straight up said to a guy, it's like, I hit him, and then we went into the corner. I was like, "Oh shit, dude, did I stiff you? I'm sorry about that." And he's like, "Don't worry about it. Keep going." Like, I was always aware. It was always like, "No, let's try and not. Let's try and." I would always try and let people know straight away. It's like, if I'm stiffing you and I don't mean to, I'm going to like apologize immediately. And then there was one person who decided that, because part of it was, if you were going to chop somebody, you would have to be willing to take the chops back. Well, this guy decided he was going to chop me, and part of his ring gear was like a basketball jersey. And I was like, I'm not going to chop you. I put him in the corner and just started roundhouse kicking him in the stomach. I was like, not going to chop you, but I'm going to give it back to you. Because you know what? Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
For more reasons than just that. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I understand. I think, but like it seems like from what you're saying, like guys that were that like anything they were gonna do, they were willing to take back. Like got them a lot more leeway, especially if they were respectful about it.
There's only one person I knew off the top who um, he was an old area vet, and anybody knew that he worked with, he would just beat the shit out of you. And I was always like, And I don't know if it was that people didn't feel like they could give it back, or he was just so damn big that they were afraid to, or what. But I didn't like that guy. I only met him once. I didn't really do anything with him. Um,
Yeah, I don't think I'd like. Because the thing is, there's being a little stiff, but I don't feel the Vader didn't like beat the shit out of everyone he wrestled.
this guy would. And it wasn't like to injure you. He would hit you hard in the soft places, but he'd light you the hell up. Now, the time I did see him light someone up, by the way, the same guy that I'm flipping the bird to as part of this guy lit him up because dipshit bumped across the guy's Achilles tendon. And it's like, oh God, that is so irresponsible. And then, I mean, this dude just turned around, grabbed him, and started just open hand, just whapping the hell out of him because he had handprints all over his body. And he was complaining about it, like, dude, I don't feel sorry for you at all. You earned that.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
but
fuck him.
it was I don't know. I like this because like it's nice getting a change of pace match where they weren't like doing like insane shit to each other, and like the pacing was pretty well. Like they let stuff breathe for most of the match.
Yeah.
Like they would do a big spot and then they'd sell, and it was like, oh okay, like they're letting me like take it in a little bit. Um, I felt like most of the stuff they did had like weight to it,
Mm-hmm.
so I thought it was
Yeah,
I
they
thought it was
spaced stuff out nightly,
I thought it was decent.
spaced nicely.
I also picked this because I've been on a bit of an all Japan kick lately, so. Um, and they didn't have any Saito Brothers stuff. I want to do some because I think Shad would like the Saitos.
I like a Saito suplex. I'll tell you that because it looks nasty, but it also looks to me like it's one of those bumps that looks nastier to take than it really is. I can't swear to it, but that's what it looks like.
I think from what my takeaway from you is like the things that look like they really suck often don't, and then the things that oftentimes you take for granted is like no, that actually sucks.
It
Mhm.
depends.
But I think that's it for this week. We might do we'll do that Brett Terry Funk match. If I can get the whole show, we might do the whole show.
Okay.
But I know at least that's out there. I don't the whole show has to be out there cuz
Probably
I
out
don't
there.
know, man.
yeah. I'll look that up. I'll do some digging on that. But so that'll probably be at least part of next week. I did watch just as a final aside. I did watch the Netflix MVP MMA card, and it was not good. It there was like there was one point there was 40 minutes between fights,
Yeah.
and
It
the,
it did big business in terms of like actual people watching it,
it
streaming
didn't it
numbers.
didn't. The problem it's gonna have though is like if you saw the arena, like they didn't do well on the attendance
No.
draw at all.
No, they didn't.
They probably made money though, just with streaming and what
Probably,
Netflix
but
paid
I
them.
don't
And
I don't know where they
it,
go though. Is the
what's
problem?
funny is like in the last like couple of days, like Dave Meltzer has been just arguing with people who are and they're UFC TKO fans who are just incensed, and of course it's like it can't possibly have done numbers and did it's like
Well, the problem is that you
and
get
Meltzer is like, look, like no, it is. And the biggest thing was like I guess Mark Shapiro from TKO is like, yeah, like the Carano Rousey match was just an embarrassment. Like
no,
it's
it
bad
was.
for MMA, and Meltzer has like had to go out there and basically be like, well, he had a tweet like the last day, or it's like you either know nothing about MMA or completely disingenuous. You're a disingenuous liar to be saying this because specifically like TKO slash UFC was actually like working for like the last 2 years to actually get this fight.
Yeah,
Like
I
they
mean, I
were
would.
heavily in negotiations for it,
It was
and
embarrassing, but
ultimately,
you're not gonna.
yeah,
But like the problem is you get it from both directions though. You get those people, but you
Yeah.
also get these people that anything that's not UFC, they gas it up like the greatest thing ever, and the card wasn't that good. Two of the fights were straight up elder abuse, in my opinion. Um, it took them. It was like 3 hours and 15 minutes, and there was maybe 20 minutes of fighting. Like nothing got out of the first round. Whereas if the UFC fight night was 3.5 hours and 90 minutes of that was cage time. And they had too much Jake Paul. They had Ariel Helwani, who sucks, and I don't really know where they go because Ronda pretty much retired, and her and Gina were like, ha 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 ha, we scammed you out of like $5 million and then ran away with their money. Uh, so like you could do Ngannou versus the guy that knocked out JDS, but like I don't know where you go. I don't know who else you get because like the fights weren't that good. UFC already signed like the one guy that was decent on the undercard. And people are making a big deal is like, well, yeah, but they're going to pay them all this money. And like the disclosed payouts weren't that much different than UFC. And then, they got more than that because UFC people get more. But like that's where the conversation gets poisoned because then the defense of that is like, well, no, they get more money than that. And then pretend like UFC disclosed payouts are like what they actually get. But like the problem is I don't know where you get the talent. And then the thing is like, you could pay a guy more, but if you're going to run 2 events a year and you're paying him double what the UFC is, that doesn't matter because he could fight 4 times for the UFC a year if he doesn't get injured. So he's still going to make more money with the UFC. So
Yeah.
I don't know what they're going to do because the guy was like throwing out, he threw out Mike Perry versus Nate Diaz again, and people were like, why do you hate Nate Diaz so much? But it wasn't like, I, it just, I think they treated it too much like boxing because that's with all the dead air. But like, I don't know, like it's like old MMA because like UFC is pretty good at like, okay, the fight's over, they're gonna have the people coming out for the next fight in like 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So they like keep it moving. It had trouble with that. They had too much Jake Paul on it, and Ariel was trying to get everyone to want to fight Jake Paul, and it was like, no, please, like let's not do that. And so I don't know. I don't know how it's going to go. We'll see what their next event looks like or how quickly they get it out. It did pretty well. It did 17 million. I think 17 million for the Ronda Gina part.
Yeah, that particular fight spiked a lot. If
Yeah.
what I read right.
And there was a CM Punk humiliation ritual, which did up it a little bit in my estimation. But we'll see. I did watch it. Like the fights weren't great. I didn't expect them to be great because I mean it was a bunch of old fighters, but like the production needs a lot of work if they're gonna do it again.
Yeah.
And like I don't, I'm curious if they're gonna be able to keep anything up because people keep acting um, like it's gonna be an ongoing thing. But like I feel like they never kept the momentum from the Jake Paul Tyson fight because it took them so long to have another event that it lost interest. So we'll see. We shall see. I did make me. I wish Ryzen wasn't like so expensive a month to watch because that's like the old Pride setup. Like they use the Pride rules, so that would be
Mm-hmm.
that would be a fun aside. But yeah, it was whatever. It lasted about the main event. I thought the main event was either gonna go 17. Well, I said 20 seconds and it went 17, or I thought Ronda was gonna stupidly try to strike with and get herself knocked out. So she did not pick the path of stupidity with that.
No, she didn't. And the number of people who claim it was a fix, it's like,
Oh
okay,
yeah.
you never watched like Ronda's fights when she was on her run, did you?
Well, I
Because
mean, I think so. Let me say this: I don't think it was fixed. I do think they took them for a ride for money. Like
I
I
think
think
Carano knew that she was not.
well, I think they both knew. I think Gina is like, oh, this is a great way to get some attention, drop some weight, and like, oh, getting back in the cage will be fun.
It's just like I said. I don't think it was a fix, but Um, that kind of win was not out of the ordinary for Rousey during her run, and it was also not grappling was never Carano's strong point.
Well, yeah,
So
and I think people don't understand is like I think what you saw in some of the other fights is people just took the big payday and didn't take like the training seriously. Like that's not fixing a fight. That's scamming someone. But
mm,
that's not necessarily fixing a fight. Cuz I don't think anything was fixed. And like you would not risk like a business proposition by fixing something straight out of the gate.
yeah, yeah,
But no, I mean, she was, like I said, her only chance. I think people don't realize that is her only chance was Ronda deciding she was going to prove something and try to knock her out, and then she would have had a fighting chance then. But like if it was what happened, like she had no chance. She was not. And if you saw her training, like she had no hope of anything grappling related.
yeah,
And like she lost like 100 pounds, like that's good for your gas tank, but like that's also hard on your muscle mass.
yeah.
You're gonna have a fight said like 17 years.
Yeah,
Something like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I'm not sure what people were expecting.
And she's like from an era where like you could be one dimensional and be fine.
Yeah.
It would be like if there's some of those early UFC guys tried to fight now and they were young again. Like they would get annihilated by even like mid-range fighters. Like you think a young
Just
Frank Shamrock with the Frank Shamrock skills would last against even like a middle of the road like UFC fighter now? Like it wouldn't.
well, and how far was Frank Shamrock ahead of people at the beginning of UFC?
Yeah. Or even like well no, Tito Ortiz might do okay. As long as he doesn't get his ass knocked out. But like he was pretty he was good enough on the ground and he could like KO you on the ground. I think he might be okay if well no the I don't know the punchers would fuck with him now cuz he wasn't great with strikers.
Like the only person rolling back through my head from earlier on, like the only two that I could think of that managed to evolve as things went on a little bit were Couture and Liddell did a pretty good job.
Yeah, but Liddell I think Liddell would actually do okay because what people don't understand about Liddell is why he was so successful is he was a really good striker, but he was really good at not getting taken down.
Yeah, he trained his defense, his takedown defense really well, so that he didn't ever have to go into the grappling.
Yeah. So I think he might do
Yeah,
okay if he actually doesn't drink himself out of a career.
yeah,
I think that second generation, like I think like Lyota Machida would be fine. Like that generation, I think would be okay. The guys that came in the next wave.
yeah. Well, I don't remember enough about it to really do a
Yeah,
good
I
job.
know.
So
But that is it for this week. I just thought I'd mention it because I watched it and I was just like, the fights were about what I expected. I thought the production would be a little snappier. So we'll see what they do for the next one.
yeah,
But that is it for this week. This has been Matt, Shad, and Brad. We've been in corners because I was going to say some weird word. And you've been in the fourth. Thank you for joining us as always.